Here are some tips and tricks in Clip Studio Paint that you may not know about. These are super random, but may be beneficial to your art process. Before I get into that though, I want to thank this video's sponsor, Squarespace. Squarespace just came out with a new guided design system called Squarespace Blueprint. You can choose from professionally curated layouts and styling options to make your very own unique website from the ground up. The process is simple, fast, and you also get optimized SEO tools, so this will make you show up more often in search engines. Or you can choose from their templates. They have a ton of templates for you to choose from with several options for every use and category. Not only that, you can customize the look, add some features to fit your needs. And that is also super simple with their Fluid engine. It's their next generation website editor, and it's never been easier to customize your website to your needs. Just drag and drop blocks, edit text, edit colors. They have tons of options for you to customize every design detail to fit your needs. Head over to squarespace.com for your free trial. Have fun creating your very own website, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/SammyJen to save 10% off of your first purchase of a website or domain. Thanks so much to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. The first tip is the Quick Access panel. You go to Window, and down here is Quick Access. Shout out to my one friend who couldn't really navigate Clip Studio Paint's user interface because they thought it was a little confusing. If you want to simplify all of these panels and options, you could actually just hide all of them and then have everything just in this one panel right here. Just the stuff that you use all the time, like maybe some brushes, maybe the liquify tools, or maybe all these other tools. Or if you want to add stuff from the menu bar, you just go to Quick Access settings right here, and all of these are the menu commands that you can go to Edit, Transform, Free Transform, and then hit Add, or just simply drag and drop. So you can take all of these panels out and then only have just this one right here to make your life a little bit more easier. You can switch between several sets, and you can even make more by right clicking, or if you're on a tablet like me, hold Control, tap, and then create set. Give it a new name, and you have another set for different workspaces and different needs. Like maybe you could have a different set for animating. So the Quick Access panel will tie into this next tip, which is the companion app. You'll see at the top bar there's a little phone icon right there. You can also access it through the Clip Studio icon and connect to smartphone. So if you're drawing on a PC or a laptop, you may find that the keyboard shortcuts may be a little too complex for you. It's a little hard to remember. Or if you're using a tablet like me and you don't have a keyboard, these are the shortcuts that come with Clip Studio Paint on a tablet version, and it's not the best. It's a little hard to use. You only have the basic buttons right here and also some shortcuts for you to use. But if you want to use something that has more options than that, you can use the companion app. So make sure you have your smartphone ready, download the Clip Studio Paint app, get started, then go to the gear icon, which is settings, and companion mode. Scan the QR. And now here it is. All of the quick access settings that I have appears up right here. So I can just close this, and I have all my sets right here. So when drawing, I'll just hold my phone in the left hand and start drawing with the right. This is fully customizable, but what's cool is that it's not just the quick access panel. There's a bunch more options down here for you to choose from. The second option right here is the color wheel. So as I'm drawing, I can just change and pick some colors right as I'm drawing without having to go to a panel right here. This means that I can hide panels and be able to show more of the canvas on my screen. Change the opacity and change the brush size. This one is like a trackpad. You can just move your canvas around. You can zoom in and out. Doesn't make sense if you're drawing on a tablet. You can already use that with your hands. But if you're drawing on a laptop or PC, this could be more convenient for you. This one is just the reference panel. If you have like character references that you want to take a look from, you can upload photos right here. It's the same as the subview on Clip Studio Paint. It's just like having this panel up here. You can do color blending. Just quickly blend some colors, pick the color, and then start drawing. It's very, very seamless. This one is basically just the navigator up here in case you're drawing super close to your screen, but you still need to know what the overall artwork looks like. Second to last is just hold Shift, Command, or Option. So holding Shift, like if I hit one point, hold Shift, and I can create lines. The command is for moving around. Option is for the color picker, and if you hold these two, you can change the brush size. And the last one is just some settings. I just found out about this. I thought this is really cool. If I'm going out and taking my iPad and I don't want to carry my keyboard with me, this is really convenient. Next up, did you know that Clip Studio Paint can import ABR files? ABR files are Photoshop's brush files, and they're compatible with Clip Studio Paint. Not exactly a one-to-one, but they're good enough. So back in the day, okay? Back in the day.
Jingle, jingle, jingle.
When Clip Studio Paint wasn't a thing, I'm talking about like about 10, 20 years ago, people used Photoshop to draw primarily. So that means that there's a ton of brushes out there. If you can't find a specific brush that you really want to use on Clip Studio Paint, you can scour the internet for Photoshop brushes. There's tons out there, but it's a hit or miss, okay? So here I have an ABR file of 20 painter brushes. The process on PC and iPad is the same. All you have to do is drag and drop the file to your brush panel. And here it is. What I mean by a hit and miss is because back then people didn't use pen tablets, so drawing wasn't really much of a thing. You might end up downloading a brush that's like this. It calls itself a brush, but in reality it's just a stamp. So if I tap right here, you'll see it's got that nice brush texture, but if I draw with it, it's not a brush. You can see in the tool property right here, there's no other settings except for size. That means it's just used as a stamp. I recommend if you really want those like really good Photoshop brushes. A lot of people make them these days, but one guy I want to recommend is Kyle T. Webster. This guy's been around for many years. I've downloaded his brushes to use back when I used Photoshop and back in university, so these are really good. A lot of them are free. Let's try downloading this one. When you're downloading, make sure that it's an ABR file. One of the old brushes that I had from him is a TPR file, I think, and it's not compatible. Make sure it's an ABR, and drag and drop the Kyle brush in. Now you can see it has all of these settings. It's not an exact one-to-one from Photoshop because, like, you know, the brush engine isn't exactly the same, but it's close enough. So when I draw, it does have that effect in there. Next up, just like ABR files, you can also import 3D files that aren't from the asset site. If there are any places that you can find completely free and downloadable 3D models, you can import them into Clip Studio Paint as well. Usually I go into sites like Sketchfab because there's a lot of free downloadable stuff. But if you're going to use any of these, make sure that the license is free. Don't do anything that you're not allowed to use for personal or commercial or otherwise. Pick a model you like, download it. There's a few file types for you to choose from to download with. I have no knowledge in 3D, I just go with the first one. Once it's downloaded, just like the ABR files, you can just drag and drop onto your canvas. If this pops up, just hit no. And here you have the 3D model. This next one is basically just the posterization correction. That's it. This is a trick that I got from Twitter and I use it in most of my artwork. So you just right click on your layers, new correction layer, and posterization. So what it does is separate the colors into these levels. So 2 levels, there's only 2 colors. At 3, there's only 3 colors. And as you increase, there's more colors. I usually go just a bit low, just so that there's a little bit more color in the artwork. Hit OK, and let's hide the layer before and after. You can see that the colors are a little more wacky, but it's really cool. You can leave the layer styling at normal like this, but it has a lot of grainy and noise texture. So what people do is change this to color, so it's a lot more subtle. Don't forget that the layer comes with a mask, so any parts where you don't want it to appear, just pick an airbrush, switch it to transparency, and just delete it on the parts you don't want it to appear in. So now it only affects every other part except for his face. If you have a certain part of a character that you may draw often, and maybe you've made a pattern and saved it as a PNG, well, you don't have to do that. You don't have to drag and drop a PNG onto your canvas every time. You can just register it as a material. Like this is what I've done for the pattern on Alhaitham's chest, because I draw those characters a lot. The same goes for the pattern on Kave's cape. So I just drag and drop, I'll just flip, and use it in my artwork. It's also how I slap my signature onto my artwork. It's super easy, but first I really recommend you making your own folder in the material panel. So go to all material and then hit this button, add a new folder, name it something, and hit OK. So now you have your own folder just to store all of your stuff in. Now let's say that your character has a really specific tattoo that you want to paste onto the character every time you draw them, or maybe you work on like comics and stuff. So just for an example, let's say you want to use this all the time. You can have it in black and white or a specific color if you want. Go to Edit, Register Material, Image, go to your folder on the right there, and hit OK. Then, when you open up your folder in the Material panel, it's right there. You can drag and drop many dogs. As many dogs as you want. Here's an example of something that has color. I recommend making sure you draw it on a really large canvas just so the resolution is pretty high. If you draw it really small and then you enlarge it, it's going to be pixelated. So keep that in mind. Clip Studio Paint comes with a lot of these textures that you can use in your artwork. If I drag and drop them, they're a pattern, but you may come upon these textures. I don't remember if these are downloaded or came with the art program itself, but if you drag and dropped a texture, and this is what it looks like, it's not tiling, you don't have to copy and paste the texture over and over again. Just go to the object tool right up there, in the tool property. Right down here is tiling. Just tick that on, and it's a texture. You can scale it, rotate it, use it as a texture. But this similarly applies with anything else that you want to use as a pattern. Let's go back and let's use this one again. This is my Warrior of Light. Let's say I want to turn them into a pattern. So make sure you've got your design down, right click onto your layer, go to Convert Layer, and in the type, change it to Image Material Layer. and hit OK. Then you'll see on the layer they'll have this little box icon right here. That means it's ready to be used as a pattern, and all of these options on the tool property will pop up, allowing you to use those settings. So hit tiling, and it's a pattern. There's many mikote. There's a bunch of directions for you to choose from: repeat, reverse, flip. So repeat is repeat, reverse just reverses them around, and flip just flips it like this. So this is pretty cool, easy to use. You can scale, rotate, make your own pattern, and you know what? You can upload to the asset site for everyone else to use as well. If you want to know more on uploading your asset to the asset site, I have a video right here that teaches you all about it. You can hit the link up here or check the link in the description. Next up is a new canvas window. So let's say you're working on something that's pretty detailed and you have to be constantly zoomed in. And maybe the navigator just isn't good enough for you. Maybe it kind of works, but there's always that red square right there that shows where you're looking at, and you can't really zoom in and out to some place specifically. What you can do is go to Window, Canvas, and New Window. This will pop up a duplicate of your current canvas. So you can drag this out, put it anywhere you want. I like to put it at the left, and I can see the overall in here, or maybe I just want to see this much. And on my main canvas, I can zoom in and add all the details I want while still seeing the overall on the left right there. They are the same canvases, so once you do any changes on this will appear on that. When you save, it saves the same thing. It's just the same thing, just having two windows. So don't worry about like, oh, I saved here and this one is like disappeared. No, they're the same thing. They're not separate. This next one is for tablets only and for people who just recently moved from art apps like Procreate. If you find this user interface to be a little too complex for you, it's a little too busy, you can go to the Clip Studio icon, switch to simple mode, and the whole interface will change. It'll look pretty close to Procreate or anything similar, and everything is a lot minimalized. Even if you're proficient with Clip Studio Paint, but you're still kind of annoyed with the whole UI, you could always change it to simple mode. You have your brushes here. You can see the UI very similar to Procreate. You have your basic tools, colors, but unlike Procreate, you have a main color, a subcolor, and transparency, which means that your brush turns into an eraser. You have all your layers here and some more options. Also got basic brush settings down here, size and opacity. If you're like, oh no, this is too simple, I don't want this, take me back, go to the three dots, switch to studio mode, and you're back. And the final tip is colorize. I'm mentioning it because I don't see a lot of people use it. I want to use it, but my art is very cel-shaded like, and I think this would fit more with artists who do a lot of painting and blending. So what is Colorize? Colorize is Clip Studio Paint's AI in the sense of artificial intelligence, where the program is processing something from what we input. So what we can do is I have line art right here, I can slap down some colors and I can have this automatically filled up. But it's not the best, I will show you. So let's say I have this line art up here and on the layer below is blank, I will add some colors. Let's colorize it. Go to your layer and make sure it's set to reference, which is this lighthouse icon. Go back to your color, make sure your color is selected, then go to edit, colorize, and then use hint, image, and colorize. If you pick the first option, that means it'll pick the colors for you, which isn't really great. Use hint, image, and colorize means it'll use your hint right here to colorize. Hit that, hit OK, and wait for it to process. And done. It is set to multiply because it's just a layer with a bunch of colors. And in order for it to show the line art that's beneath it, it set itself to multiply. I'd say set it to normal and put it beneath your line art layer. So you can see the difference between this and this. I added some blues hoping that it will, gradient to some sort of shading. Well, it appeared just a little bit right here. I'd say it filled in a little bit weirdly, especially on the face, but with some correction, I think this could come out looking really nice. And you could use this as a base to paint and color on top of it. You could colorize several times and maybe like merge them all together. It could speed up the process and create some really nice funky colors like this, where it slowly gradients and mixes in the colors in some parts. One issue though is it's showing all of this white space out here as well. It didn't confine all the colors to just inside of the line art. It can't tell that this is the line art and this is the background. You'll have to delete that though. Just go back to your line art, select the outsides, any part that isn't the character, go back to your color layer, hit delete with this right here, and deselect. Now it's confined to just within that character. So yeah, I hope you learned something new with this video. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm out. Bye.